When I was in elementary school, I pushed a button. Not just any button, a button to vote. I had the opportunity to shadow my congresswoman for a day on Capitol Hill and cast her vote. While I wish I could remember what I was voting for, as a kid, I was solely infatuated with the button. Little did either of us realize this would not be the last we would see of each other. I began my real political journey as a district office intern for Congresswoman Jackie Spear the spring semester of my junior year. My primary assignment during this time was to design and pitch an event to this Congresswoman. I sought to truly make this event something I cared about and wanted to share with others. The opportunity had arisen to leave a tiny little legacy at the district office of Jackie Spear. Gosh, this was my shot. So I began the brainstorming process, and let me tell you, it was all over the place. So I began with my biggest passion, puppies. After a brief conversation with an advisor, it was shot down fast. So I continued down the list. An ocean cleanup, lunches for kids in school, none of these felt right. So I finally decided to focus on my personal experience living in the Silicon Valley. I sat down at a desktop computer and began diving into databases, digging through medical research, and even looking up parent horror stories surrounding the risks of technology. The more I read, the more my eyes were open to how drastically our lives have changed. We're going to be the first generation to truly suffer the consequences. So, what are the dangers of technology? Although I'm just a high school student without a PhD, I think it's pretty obvious that the dangers are in our everyday lives. It affects everybody, whether it's a stereotypical screenager addicted to their phones, the grandfather logging into Facebook for the first time to keep up with his grandkids, or the working mom hunched over her laptop all day. But specialists are most focused and concerned on toddlers in determining what the unknown developmental consequences are. Looking at dangerous online media, a 2019 article from The Guardian delved into the large epidemic of toddlers watching YouTube. Clips of popular kids' TV shows, such as Mickey Mouse or Peppa Pig, have been edited, inserting clips persuading children to act out violently. Many depicting horrifying, graphic scenes of these characters drinking bleach or being run over. In response, kids' behaviors drastically changed, even showing stereotypical symptoms of abuse. Screens also enable us to flip from activity to activity incredibly quickly. Texting, YouTube, social media, everything in between. Inevitably, this has led to a shorter attention span. Neurologically, specialists are starting to see less structural integrity in the white and gray areas of our brain. These two structures are directly linked to literacy, organizational, and prioritizational skills. A 2019 study from the University of Alberta solidifies these findings. Children, by the age of 5, who are exposed to over 2 hours of screen time daily, were 7.7 times more likely to receive a diagnosis of ADHD. This shows how incredibly quickly our digital behavior makes an impact. Today, doctors urge parents with children under the age of 5 to limit screen time to no more than 30 minutes daily. Another consequence of screens is the decrease in face-to-face communication. This not only pertains to children, but society as a whole. Personally, I remember when I was in elementary school, I would sit in my kitchen on my step stool, wait for it, my landline to ring and my best friend to call me. To this day, a call means substantially more to me than a text, but even I've succumbed to the efficiency of a 10-second text. Kids especially need this face-to-face communication to develop their frontal lobe. In the same study, it was found that children were 5 times more likely to have a clinically significant behavioral problem if exposed to screen time. A shocking conclusion is that the health risks posed by technology were more severe than any other factor, such as sleep. So, the big question is, does the government have a role in this problem? A lot of people are going to argue no. The government has absolutely no place in intervening with the upbringing of one's child. However, I would compare this issue to the dilemma of smoking a cigarette. The government can't stop someone from smoking a cigarette, but they do actively warn the public of the dangers. In the past, health risks have only been addressed once the consequences turn out to be severe. This is why it's especially important to identify and publicize health risks before the outcomes become dire. I believe the answer is education. The government can make parents and every individual aware of the risks that they are currently oblivious to. Once aware of the risks, their actions can and will change. At the end of the day, this should not be looked at as a partisan issue, but one that's looked at as a necessary investment in the next generation. At Jackie Spear's office, I helped run the events that public officials put on for their constituents. However, I know that attending a town hall meeting is not on the everyday agenda of most Americans, who instead put their trust that their interests will be supported by their officials. Every day, there's a new issue to be tackled in the Capitol, but progress on these issues must begin with advocacy. This digital age has opened up Pandora's box of problems, but has also enabled us to become politically engaged in unprecedented ways. Information lies literally at our fingertips, and we are one click away from contacting a representative. Civic engagement may seem like yelling into a void, but people must be able to appreciate the power of self-education. I could have never imagined the growth, inspiration, and opportunities that have come from my journey, and I'm certainly not alone. This past decade has proved the significance and power of self-advocacy. Parkland students were able to inspire kids across America to walk out of their class to make their voices heard on gun control. There are even women connecting globally through Facebook to empower each other to fight for equal pay. So, ironically enough, while public health-related technology is a very real issue with pressing dangers to address, it is these very same tools that are enabling the large-scale movements we need to enact change. In order to tackle the issues we face as a society today, it is more important than ever that we find inspiration in each other. We must be more engaged than ever, holding ourselves and our government accountable for the world we want to live in. Self-education is self-empowerment. I am confident that despite my generation's nickname, we will be able to transform the era of the screen to not be a concern, but to be the platform that enables society to progress. Thank you.